Hi everybody, it is Catherine here from Continue the Magic, and this is your news update for the week of July 6th. So this week we're going to dig into everything we know so far about the big construction projects and new attractions coming to Disneyland. So let's get started. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. It really helps me out at the channel and make sure that you never miss a video. So with that said, let's get started with all things Disneyland Forward. So if you're not familiar with that name, this is kind of what was put forward for the long-term plans, 40-year plan for Disneyland. So this was approved a couple years ago, and we're already in the construction zone for getting these changes underway. But this was a big deal because it was the first time that it allowed Disneyland to change the zoning of certain areas. So before, they had areas that were specifically like, this area is for rides and attractions and the resorts. They had dedicated spaces that were for parking, for food, for shopping, for hotels. So all of those were kind of independent of each other, and you couldn't just change between the different zones. So now with this change that was approved with Disneyland Forward, now that zoning is a lot more fluid, giving them a lot more flexibility with what they can do with the space that they have over in California. So the big things here is that this allows them to create new shopping areas, new hotels, but specifically expand the parks. So the parts that are happening right now are not the most exciting. For the most part, we're in the early stages where, transportation hubs need to move. So in order for them to move, they need to build a parking structure, a multi-level parking structure. So they're doing that so they can then move the transportation hub that is currently occupying where the Avatar new attraction and land is going to go, that is taking over the Monsters, Inc. area. So Monsters, Inc. is obviously going away. We're going to be replacing this with an Avatar land, but unlike what they've done in Disney World, this one is going to be themed around more so the Way of Water, so the second movie in that movie series. So it is still going to be a boat attraction like we see in Disney World, but it's going to be a very different theming. So we're not talking a leisurely kind of boat ride through the forests of Pandora. Instead, it's going to be more of an kind of that open ocean feeling that you get from the second movie. So I'm assuming that the water is going to be a little bit more rough. It's going to be a little more exciting. We might have some predators that come in here. A much different kind of adventure attraction is my feeling, as opposed to what they've done, which is super pretty and relaxing in Disney World. So again, this is going over the Monsters, Inc. attraction that is in California Adventure right now, but it is also the show building is going to be much larger, and it's going to be expanding into that extra area that they're going to relieve by moving that transportation hub. So sticking with California Adventure, let's pop over to Avengers Campus. So this is going to be a huge expansion with not one, but two large attractions coming to this area, which is great. I think, Spider-Man is fun, and the kind of conversion of the Tower of Terror into the Guardians of the Galaxy works well, but overall, this area is a little bit gray. It's not the most exciting, so I think some new attractions and then those continued meet and greets will keep a lot of life and vitality in this area. So the first one is Avengers Infinity Defense, and the plotline here is that King Thanos, so a variant of Thanos, where in his world he actually won that Infinity War and got his way. He has stolen technology from Stark Industries that opens portals to the different multiverses. So we're going to be joining him, chasing after him through these portals into these different multiverses, which gives us an excuse to visit a lot of the different areas that we're familiar with Avengers. So we'll be visiting Wakanda, we'll be visiting Asgard, New York City, a lot of great spots here. It's a great way to get in a bunch of different characters and a bunch of different worlds into one tight sequence. So I'm very excited to see how this one plays out. So they haven't said what ride vehicles are going to be used at this point, but we are talking about a high energy action attraction, and they're talking about a mix of large physical sets and CGI projection mapping, videos, those types of things to integrate and really keep you immersed in those different worlds. So the next one is Stark Flight Lab. So this one looks really fun. If you're familiar with Forbidden Journey over at Universal Studios, you will know the Kuka arm system, and it can be a pretty thrilling way to take people through different show scenes. So it sounds like this is going to be 2-person as opposed to the 4-person benches that you see in Forbidden Journey, but it gives a lot of flexibility that you can move up and down, around. They can flip you nearly upside down. So lots of potential here for a flight lab. The other exciting news here is that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be coming back as Iron Man for this attraction. I've always loved him in this role. I know he's a fan favorite. So anytime we can get more classic Tony Stark is good news. The other cool thing about this one is that it's going to have different test flight parameters, meaning that you can have some rewritability because there are different sequences that you can go through in the attraction. So it's not going to be the same every time, and it's going to give you that desire to go back again and again to make sure that you can experience all those different variations. So construction for this one has already started. So the red trolley cars have shut down and they are already moving some parking to make way for these 2 massive show buildings. So you've probably already seen the construction walls up here, but this is a pretty exciting expansion to get 2 new big ticket rides over in that area of the park. And right now, it really does seem like California Adventure is getting all of the love, because the last one I'm going to talk about right now is the new Coco attraction. So construction on this one has already begun. Again, you'll see those construction walls up already, and this is going over by the Incredicoaster in Pixar Pier, which totally makes sense, this being a Pixar film. So you'll see Miguel and some marigolds up on the construction walls, and that is already moving forward. So we're getting yet another boat ride. So my guess with this one is that we'll have a slower moving boat ride. This one might be a little bit more leisurely. I would guess it would be closer to, say, the Grand Fiesta Tour or the Navi River Journey, where you're kind of going through a beautiful environment and kind of soaking it in. So the idea here is that we are in the Land of the Dead with Miguel, and we are going through the beautiful scenery of the area. We'll get the music from the movies, we'll see lots of the characters that we know and love, and they are highlighting that in this one we're going to have a lot of the new generation of audio animatronics. So especially those skeleton characters that we see throughout the movie, they're saying that it's going to be unreal, the types of movements that we're seeing and the reality that is created by these new level of animatronics. So I'm excited to see what they do with this next generation and bring that whole world to life. So overall, with Disneyland Forward, we're seeing huge investment into the Disneyland parks, which is wonderful to see. So obviously we have this first stage where we're expanding the park footprint, the resort footprints in between the hotels into parking areas so that they can finally break out of that pretty tight kind of seal that they had around the parks. They didn't have a lot of flexibility or a lot of expansion pads, so giving them that ability to rezone has really opened up their options here to expand those 2 parks. Other things that they're saying are coming is the East Side Hub. So the Pixar parking lot is going to be going away and they're going to be expanding into that area. This one, it seems like it'll be not necessarily theme park expansions, but more retail, hotel, and themed entertainment experiences. So it might end up with kind of another downtown Disney feel, somewhere that you can go even without a park ticket and experience, shop, eat, go and do different interactive things there. So good to see that that is coming as well. And the nice thing is it also gives us the option of potentially eventually having a 3rd gate. So it's been a while since Disney has opened a new park. It will be very exciting to see a new gate come to the US parks. So that's great news. Again, nothing announced, nothing short-term happening. We're talking, these are 40-year plans. There's lots of opportunities, but they really are investing in those theme parks, and we really are starting to see that love being put back into them, both on the East and the West Coast. So great for Disney fans that all of these new things are underway. So hopefully we'll get more details around these different attractions when we get to D23 this year, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of level set set of where we were with these expansions, how they are progressing in the parks, and what we can hope to see in the future. So with that, thank you for joining me. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and I will see you next time.